Hi guys, in this video we're gonna cover primarily two things. So first of all, using the method Object.create. Secondly, how to implement and use Accessor property. Well, here the foo is a data property and bar is a accessor property. Well, as you might have guessed, data property just holds a value, in this case hello. Accessor property like bar has at least two properties. One is get, another is set. These two are used to assign a value to bar or to output its value. Well, we're going to go through with this in detail, so you don't need to worry if you find this a bit confusing. Let's see what this does. Let's investigate this code. First of all, line 4 is like Object.create Object.prototype, and then an object as a second parameter. This is equivalent to this. Well, let's check. Sorry, this. This line 27, this is equivalent to this. So if you assign a variable called O, this is equal 20. This and this are equivalent. So that's 1 point. Yeah, so Object.create and inside Object.prototype as its first argument is the same as creating an empty object like this. I hope that's clear. Let's move on to this code. When you create a new object using Object.create and define the properties, each property has a properties of its own that defines its behavior, and the data property and the accessor property, they have different sets of properties that you can define, but there are some properties that both can define as well. For example, writable can be in a data property like for, or it could also be in property bar. Let's just go through with what's been defined here. Writable means you can assign a new value. So if you set an initial value of foo to 1, say, oh sorry, let's stick with this example. If the initial value to hello, and then because it's writable, you can assign a different value like howdy. Configurable, when set to true, means you can convert between a data property or an accessor property. You can change the type of the property. And as I have mentioned just briefly, get defines a getter function, set defines a setter function. So you could guess that get property is used to define a behavior when you try to access the value of the property bar in this case, and set property is used to set the value of the bar property. So the get property accepts no argument. Set property accepts a single argument, and as you might guess, the lone argument is used to set the value of the bar property. So let's investigate further. You could have guessed that when you do something like o.foo, this will output hello. That's simple. It's a data property. It has no get or set properties. What about the bar property, which is a accessor property, as I mentioned? If you do o.bar, this will return 10 by default because it's defined in line 14. It always returns 10. So this always returns 10. How about the setter? How do you use the setter function? Like this. Simply o.bar, assign a value to it using the equal sign. If you set it like, I don't know, a random value, what would this do? If you did this, then try to access it again using o.bar, what would be the new output here? Do you think the value of the o.bar has changed because of line 30? You'll be wrong. Let's investigate what's happening. Inside the function, it accepts the lone argument called value, as I said. There's no code that changes anything. It just simply console logs setting o.bar to a value. So when you try to assign a value using the setter in line 30, this will just simply console log setting o.bar to a random value. This happens as a consequence of line 30. It's not because of your calling the getter, because the console logging code is inside the setter. But as I said before, there's no custom property to assign a value or to output a value. So it does nothing. All it does is when you get the value of bar, always returns 10, because the code doesn't do anything. It just returns 10. And if you try to assign a value, it just outputs on the console setting o.bar to value. But there's no code, extra code that enables some kind of custom property to be updated. So if you do o.bar again, what would be the new output? It will still be 10. Okay, so let's confirm it. Console log o.foo. What would this be? It would be hello, right? So let's try hello. So that's done. Let's access the value of o.bar. This is how you call the getter. Just o.bar that returns the value. You don't need to do like, I don't know, o.bar and then parentheses. No, you just access it as a normal variable of object O. So just o.bar returns its value. And what did I say? It always returns 10. So let's try. It always returns 10. Okay, so what if I use the setter like this, very simple, and change the value to 1000. Let's just run it. It doesn't set anything, it just console logs as soon as you try to assign something. Say setting order bar to 1000, but order bar has no custom property to be updated, does nothing. So if you try to console log order bar again, you guessed it, it'll still be 10. It will still output 10. Try it. Yes, after setting, ordered bar hasn't changed. So I hope this example makes sense now, but this example is boring. Let's make something more interesting. Let's make a more complicated example, or something that's more useful. As I said before, we need a custom property to store a value. So let's do it. Let's name it num. Because we are invoking Object.create method, we need to write out a property like this inside an object, and specify all the relevant properties like writable, configurable, or values, and so on. Okay, so let's start with the value. Let's say our num's initial value is 10. So this is the initial value set to 10. Okay. What else do we need? By default, the property is not writable, so we need to explicitly set it to be writable. I think that's good enough. This is what kind of property is this? We've covered it in foo and bar. Which one is the data one? Which one is the accessor? Foo is the data one. Bar is an accessor with getter and setter. So num is a data property. Okay. Okay, let's use this inside bar. Let's implement getter first. The most obvious thing is to just output the value of num inside the getter. So how do we do that? We do this dot num. That's it. Okay, so let's try it. O dot bar. What would this output? The initial value set to 10, right? So let's do it. 10. So that's good. Let's implement the setter with a single argument, right? That's the value to be updated. Let's just leave the console log. We know what it does. Let's update the value of num. So we have to do this dot num equals value. That's enough. So after outputting the initial value of 10, let's assign a new value for 1000, then console log it again. We would expect this to be 1000 this time, right? So let's do it. Yes, it's 1000. So that's how you use getter and setter in an accessor property. Okay, so let's close that. This is what I've done here. I've just done it twice. It's the same JS fiddle. Let me just, okay, yes, this is using the ES 2015 accessor syntax. Instead of setting the getter and setter in this way, you can just use this syntax over here. Okay, So let's convert this into the ES 2015 Accessor syntax instead. Alright, so let's inside the bar, let's get rid of getter and setter. Alright. Okay. Okay, so let's implement it using the newer syntax. Just simple, right? Same thing. Just the getter has to be returned this.num, and the setter this.num equals value. So this is a new syntax, right? Should give you the same output. It does. So everything works. I think that's about it. Yeah, this is based on this page, so I'm gonna link this page and this page and this page in the description. I think that's about it for now. Thank you so much. See you later.